Okay, this is Matthew Brasel, and yeah, it's good you got some poses in there. I think you really need to work on the timing. Um, Also, you're probably going to want to get some textures on your set. It appears that you're using projection textures on the hair and the body, and that the body is moving through those as well. Let's take a look at the Maya file. Another thing is your scene isn't organized, so you should be working inside of a Maya project directory, um, which it does not appear you're doing. So if we go to the outline here, um, back in Module 1, let's take a look. On page 6, we did setting up and using projects. And here it explains how you want to create a Maya project, which is basically a folder with other folders in it. And you put your scenes files in the scenes directory, and your texture images go in the source images directory. So all of your scene files go in the scenes directory, and all of your texture images go in the source images directory. And so that's how you should be working both in this class and beyond. I would say if there had to pick one thing, if I only got to pick one thing that you got out of this class, it would be that you work within a Maya project. So please reorganize your stuff, and it may mean having to relink textures, but from what I see, you might not have that many textures anyways. But let's see what's happening here. Right, and so I can see this is not in your source images folder, it's in something called week 7 textures. We can try to find that to see if that was included here. But yeah, this is not organized correctly. All of this should be in the source images directory. So for some reason you chose to do this, I guess, as a projection texture. So it looks like he's moving through it. And what you can do is, like if you're happy how it looks here or something, or in any certain position, you might want to, let me turn off auto keyframe for a second. Maybe you want to reset the pose first. And let's say maybe that's how you want it to be on there. You can go to the, I think it's the rendering menu set under texturing, and then create texture reference object. And then it says, okay, well is that really what it looks like? That's what it's supposed to be, look like. And it'll refer back to that position of the object. So see how he's no longer moving through it anymore. It's moving with him. You see the difference? I can repeat that because I think you had the same issue for the hair. Week 7 hair. Again, that should be in your source images directory, which means you'll have to relink the textures. Yeah, I don't know why you did these as projection. That is not correct. They should be UV mapped, and they should be done as anyway, we can do texture, create texture reference object, and see how the color moves with his head now. And what it's done is create these reference objects, these little templated objects in the scene that it says, okay, in this position is how it should be mapped. And so even if it moves around, it's going to refer to this reference object as to how the texture should be mapped. Or you could go back and properly UV map and texture it in the first place. Regarding the animation, I think you've got some good stuff going on. One thing you're suffering from is what they, in traditional animation, they would call twinning, where both the left right side and the right side are doing the exact same thing. So let's try to, where's his controls? Fascinating. Oh, I swear. What? Huh. That's very interesting. I don't know where his controls are. Anyway, I guess I'll just try to control it from here. So it's on FK, and I would probably do this on IK, so I'm going to delete these keyframes, right mouse click, delete selected, switch this to IK. Oh, that's the spine, sorry, wrong one. Should be arm, okay, there we go. Delete selected. Okay, now I'm switching it to IK, so it'll be in the wrong position for a minute. And then that's the FK wrist. We want the IK arm, okay. This is kind of hard to do without the the curves and the manipulator showing up. Something's very wrong with this file. Not a reasonably easy way to do this. Wow, that's terribly wrong. So something's really wrong with this rig. Let's check the reference editor. The other thing is you were meant to reference the rig into the file and not import it. So, yeah, maybe let me know if the curves are showing up for you, because I can't seem to get his curves to show up, even though there's the motion system. So like, FK hit, where is that? Is it? Oh my god, it's all the way over here. What in the world have you done? All your controls are over there and you managed to move the character over here. That is fascinating. Okay, well, something's gone terribly wrong here. And I really think you're going to need to take a step back, because that's pretty severely broken. Really strange. Did you pick the geometry and move it? Or I don't know how this would have happened. But I might take a step back, delete the rig out, reference it in by doing File, Create Reference. I mean, before you do any of that, get your stuff organized, put your scene files in your scene folders, put your texture images in your source image directory, relink those textures, and then when you want to bring the character in this scene, do File, Create Reference, and that will import it in but maintain the link to the rig. So if we need to make any fixes to the rig, it'll update the file, but you'll still be able to keep a clean rig. But this is nearly impossible to work with at this point. So I'm just going to reopen this and just double check that that was like that when I first opened it, because that is really weird. Well, I don't see that now. I wonder if it did that when I created the... Let's try showing the curves. No, they are over there. Crazy. Yeah, I can't say I know exactly how you did that, unless maybe you picked the geometry and moved the geometry. I don't see any transforms on that. I do see transforms on that. Just out of curiosity, what happens if we move these back to 0? Yes. So for some reason you grouped the geometry and moved it over there, which doesn't make any sense, because you could just take this, the main control, and use that for the starting position of the character. Okay, well now we've solved that mystery. Yeah, don't touch the geometry. You won't. Now that you've rigged it, you're never going to move the geometry. Anyway, my point I was trying to make before was you'll was it keyframed over there or something? Something is keyframed, or was it the main control is probably keyframed over there. Yep, let's delete the keyframes off of that. Delete selected. Okay, now we can All right. Well, the point I was trying to make about twinning earlier is, I mean, this is a bit exaggerated too. And I would look at some reference, like someone who's crying isn't rotating, 15 degrees with the middle of their spine. They're like small, jerky movements. So I would shrink those down quite a bit, and maybe play with like the scapula controls and stuff like that to get some more subtle, you know, you can get like smaller movements. But I also would say, as I was saying before, I'm going to delete this off of here. I would do this in um, IK. Because then what you'll find is, um, whatever I do to this, like if you do want to rotate that out, see how his hand sticks there? And see how it's more interesting pose if one hand's on his face and one hand's on the table, for example. So don't have both hands do the same things. Have the two hands do different things. I mean, if you want the hand planted on the table, it's IK. If you want the hand on the face, it actually probably is easier to do FK for that hand. So you might want to have this one in IK mode and this one in FK mode. But yeah, you've got a lot of cleaning up and reorganizing to do.